Good morning. Going to continue on with working on the McLane edger, but I want to point out here, this is some of the features I had to change over the years. The recoil failed. If you take a look, you'll see that this says 98, so this is 26 years old. Arguably, the L-Engine's the greatest one ever made. But I had trouble with the 1 quart Pulsa Jet, and I had to rebuild it. Over the years, there are a few bad points, and just a few. The unit loosened up, and I had to put in new bolts and tighten things up. This is in a very violent area. It kicks up and digs dirt as it goes. Coming across here, the only other thing, and I'll show you up there, I had to replace this once. This is a spindle. It was $60, and to be honest with you, I did not change or grease it very well, and so that failed. But ever since replacing it, and that was years ago, I have had no issues with it. I'm currently changing the engine oil, and I showed you yesterday when I pulled this out, this uses a square nut, and I'm going to replace that here in a second. Let me go get another pig mat. Okay, continuing on, this is where I talked about fixing the recoil pull. I took the muffler off. This is a 26-year-old muffler. It still works, but I wanted to remove it so I could gain access back here. And here's where the exhaust port is. Here's the intake. It's a flathead, so the valves push up here as the 4 strokes go for the intake, and the piston is over here. And it's a very simple and straightforward engine. You can see I got some new bolts here and here. There were 3 of them. You can see how dirty the environment is, because this thing spins like no tomorrow and kicks off. So anyway, in changing the oil, I decided to get a new plug that goes in here, and I'll tighten that up in a second. But maybe I won't. I'll put it in when I can use a good hand. 2 complaints I had is that both of the exert fittings on this guy have never worked right, and that was the way it was. And you can't remove these exert fittings, and I wasn't going to try and tear it apart. The problem is as much pressure comes back as it goes in. You grease it so till this weep port right here that I have on mine is filled with grease, and then you know that's good and full. This one here doesn't work at all. So, and it hasn't. That's a complaint about this unit. And then there's not much else, because it has I would argue, one of the greatest engines, the L-Engine by Briggs and Stratton ever built. All aluminum. It's a more modern one. And if you can see here, the McLane edger pretty much has remained the same for decades. And it's good. This doesn't have all the safety features on it because they're sitting in a box. They vibrated away. But anyway, let me get back to changing the oil. This is the rear of the engine. You have 2 ports. The intake, which is where the assembly goes, and the exhaust. The linkage controls to the Pulsa Jet are one here. This kills the magneto, stops the ignition. These two connect to two parts on the unit to control this is a governor, to control the throttle, and this also applies pressure with the spring so it regulates itself. So that's the part that's tied to the engine. Coming over here with the Pulsa Jet, this is a 1 quart version. Excuse me, it has a smaller tank, and there's a 1 quart, 2 quart, 3 quart, and the big difference is there's a tube that goes down, and depending on the length, the tank is 2 quart is deeper than the 1 quart, and a 3 quart's deeper than obviously the 1 and the 3. Excuse me. The controls you'll see on this are straightforward. It has the speed, a stop, slow, fast, and you have a choke. The choke assembly connects here through a connecting rod. It's in choke now. If we move this over, it goes to wide open. This is the throttle, and inside here, this connects to the lever, throttle cable right here. The throttle cable. All right, so, and I'll show you this all connected. And then the spring with for the governor goes here, and the governor, that arm goes here, and this point to hold it together. That's how that's put together, and part of the reason I'm making this video. To remove the screws to hold the tank together, there's one straight down here. You have to adjust this lever so you can get access to it. One here. One here. One here on the right side. Then you have one that's hidden. The one that's hidden is right there, and this is a long screw. When you pull that out, there's a real long screw. Just one. The rest of them are all the same size. Then rotating the tank around, this goes to the head. You'll see this tube, and this is how the unit works. You have two rubber pieces. Now these are actually still quite pliable for 26 years, but they're inexpensive, and of course I have backup ones for here. But it vibrates, which causes the pump to pump, that pulls up fuel. Fuel goes through Venturis here and out into the intake manifold for the engine to run. There are 4 screws that are here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you remove that, and there's a spring and a cap on there, plus a diaphragm, and the diaphragms fail. It's material, and it obviously vibrates and moves, and that was the problem with this tank. My other tank had a slightly different problem, or Pulsa Jet, but I rebuild one or the other depending on what's going on. And I bought a cheap whole assembly Pulsa Jet and installed it to try to be quick. Well, let me actually show you what that is. Edit, it's here all the time. All right, very good. All right, the Pulsa Jet that I got from Amazon came with a longer tube for the 3-quart tank, and I was unaware of that. So what I had done is put in the old tube, and I glued this down, and you can see that over time the gasket failed. There was a vacuum, and so this could not pull up all of the it broke vacuum, and so it wouldn't work until it got warm. I may fix that one. I may simply just keep it, because my 80-year-old neighbor who uses this may not be using it for that much longer. But I'm going to keep it. It originally cost $250 back in '98, '99. And now they go for basically $1,200 with one with the Briggs, or $1,700 if you want a Honda engine. Which, you know, I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, this is one of the best engines. And actually, I do like the Edger as well. It just has a few minor issues. So I'm going to install this and show you some other pictures as I go along. I'm still waiting for 2 screws to come in. I'm trying to decide what to do. I want to get it done, but I also want to just put it together one time with the screws. Alright, I didn't film myself putting this back together. I was using some bad words. Alright, in order to get this on, to get to that bolt, right? This bolt, right there. Stand. That hex nut, right here. I had to remove this assembly here, which required me to remove 2 screws. The one right there, and the one right straight down that you're looking at. It removed this bracket assembly, this one right here. Right? Then after removing it, I could get that bolt in. I need to get a better answer for the bolt. This one here, I had to use the original bolt because it's smaller. Okay, and I could actually, you need just a different type of screw with a bit, and I have some of those coming in, but I'm done for this thing for the year. Okay, so with that, the other thing that I had to do, and it's still not connected, is to put the pipe, the vacuum for the Pulsa Jet in at the end. All right, I'm gonna tighten that screw down, but you need the that in for the pump to work. So okay, taking a look right here. The way it goes is I had to install this first before I put in those 2 bolts. This is the governor. This spring goes right there. Let me fish it around to this side. Alright, that was the final configuration. Now I'm going to install the cover and air filter.